get going here. All right, good afternoon, everyone. We're here for the Public Works Transportation Committee meeting, July 22nd. It'll be followed up by the Parks, Rec, and Cultural Services Committee. Right after, there's currently no closed agenda items, so we'll go back to back. And it's, in my opinion, that just take a moment to acknowledge the traditional and ceded territory of the Hunkaminam speaking people of the Coast Salish region, whose territory we live, work, and play. And we do good work, including our recent hiring of Indigenous Relations Manager in the City of Richmond to further our reconciliation work and cultural works that happen throughout the year, especially with lots going on in the summer months, and more to come on that later on. So we'll have our motion to adopt the minutes from June 17th of Public Works. So motion to approve the minutes. Public Works moved there and seconded. All those in favor, that is carried. Our next committee meeting here will be September the 23rd, 4 o'clock here in the Anderson Room. So it does require a little bit of a month break there in between. Any additions or deletions to the agenda? All I've heard so far is there will be 2 managers' reports, and then Councillor McNulty and Councillor Hobbs each had something they would like to bring up. I don't see anyone else at this moment. Oh. Yeah. Councillor. Oops.
So there is an issue, and we did receive a confidential memo on this, but I think this is something that we can certainly discuss from the City Solicitor and Milton Chan on the Granville Avenue walkway. I'd like that added to the agenda in public.
Granville Avenue walkway. What was
Granville Avenue walkway.
Shell Trail.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, gotcha. Okay, and the Shell Road Trail. Okay, well, that'll be our third. Is that okay after the manager's report, or do you want it as an actual item?
An actual item.
So that'll be item number 4A, then. We'll call that one our Granville. Okay, and Shell. All right, anything else? Not seeing anyone else. Okay, that takes us to item number 1, Fraser River freshet and flood protection update. And we're going to have Jason Ho come on up. And anything you'd like to add to the report? Great. Any comments, questions, anything there? Oh, sorry. Did you have something you wanted to add? You'd have to.
Nothing, sorry.
No? Okay. Thanks. So it's been moved and is seconded on the floor. I'll just add a couple things here. So I did kind of look through the report and looked at some of the highlights. The fact that it didn't look like such a peak Fraser River flow year, hitting around about 7,000 cubic meters per second. We had a pretty intense rainfall event almost this time last year on August 6th. I asked if it was like really spectacular record breaking, but that 8.5 millimeters per hour for a 1 hour period was not nearly as high as the flow, the intensity was during the years 2021 in the atmospheric river. And then I also highlighted looking through the use of technology and some of the abilities we have at using cameras to get evidence of tide impacts on Mitchell Island, and then also some of the camera usage in the box culverts. So we're using images and video recording to capture the quality of the inner sides of those pieces of our infrastructure. And then also just highlighting, we've seen, many of us, some of the canal stabilization work that's happened in the report on our page 17. But I also found out that in the future we have a number of others that are kind of planned for near work. So if you were concerned, as I often am when I go through some of these roads, so number 6 road, kind of between Blundell and Westminster Highway, parts of the Bath Slough, I've heard, number 3 road south of Steveston, and also parts of 8 road. So staff have a long list, and they've prioritized a number of things. I also found interesting on the beaver burrows in the dike slope. So I asked about those 38 beaver burrows that were restored or I guess removed, and then the areas repaired. So those were all around Terranova, and apparently there's many more areas where there is beaver activity. I think the number was around 60 or so are in the city. So it's great that our staff are on top of things that could compromise the dike, but also allow wildlife to do their thing. So those are all the things I wanted to highlight in the report. And that did bring up a Councillor Day comment or question?
Yeah. Thank you. I just wanted to do a little bragging of our city. I mean, we don't have flooding problems for good reason. With 49 kilometers of dikes and 599 kilometers of drainage pipes, all that are extremely well maintained. When you look at the chart on page 12, it does show that even with the lower amount, we're still got 703 square meters of river flow on the river. So while that's down about 30% from 2022, I still think it's amazing that we can manage to keep ourselves high and dry here in Richmond. So kudos to staff. Thank you.
Great, and that's all. So a question on the motions, staff recommendation, all those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Thank you very much, Jason. All right, item number 2, I believe we're calling up Nick Sue from staff to answer any questions about the Richmond Water Quality and Conservation Report for 2025. And welcome. And do you have anything you'd like to add to the report?
Nothing to add, but happy to answer any questions.
Great, thanks. Thank you. It's been moved, seconded. I have a question, but I'll let Councillor Day go first.
Thank you so much. And again, it speaks to the work that we're doing. Our population is up 34% in the last number of years, and yet water usage is down 17%. So much of that is the education and the cooperation, of course, of the public. So, we're in good shape, and the reason is we're doing a good job. So thank you once again to staff. Appreciate that.
All right, thank you. I gave one of my comments away to Councillor Day to say, but I do have a question still. It's under the leak detection, so it's highlighted in a few spots on our page 23. There was a section there about 70 leaks were repaired using our thorough leak detection program. And then in the glossy pictures on page 81, it shows a staff person standing by what kind of looks like an orange plunger on the roadway. And I'm just curious if you're able to expand a little bit on how that works, and does it have to be on asphalt, or can that tool be utilized over boulevards, over driveways, over other materials, so that when we do go in for the leak repair, we're not taking apart more infrastructure than we need to?
To the chair, in this photo, this plunger type of device, it's a logger. It is for a flat surface. We have other attachments that will go over soil or other types of ground. This one can be used on the ground, like the soil surface as well, but the frequency, it's a little bit harder to detect. So ideally, these are used on flat surfaces, but we have other heads options that can read over different soil types.
Okay, thanks. And then just one follow-up. Of the 70 leaks that were repaired, was there one like very common type of leak repair?
Usually, it's just a typical leak, and they'll hear it, and then they'll look into line and make sure it gets repaired properly. Yeah,
Great.
Nothing, no anomalies.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you. Councillor Heed.
Yes, certainly under our water quality, we have obligations that must be met under the province's Drinking Water Protection Act. And on page 22, you've got the 3 bullets that certainly list what those are. So I guess my questions are regarding who does the testing of our quality of water, and what certifications do they have, and how do we certify?
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, the lab tests all go to a Metrovan lab, and they're tested there.
So who ensures the quality of our water? Do we have certified people that are with our Public Works Department that certify the quality of our water?
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, our staff are qualified to run the samples, and they send the samples directly to the lab, and the lab checks the water and reports back for the rest of Metrovan.
Okay, so who certifies the people to take the water? Is it just as simple as them going into our drinking water and taking a sample out and sending it off to Metro Vancouver's lab?
Our operator, through the chair to Councillor Heed, our operators are EOCP certified, level 1, 2, and some are level 3. And those are the operators that are allowed to collect the samples and send them in to the lab.
And their certification comes from a provincial agency, is that correct? Or do you know?
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, I don't know.
I'll pass that to the General Manager, Windsor.
Yes, through the chair to Councillor Heed. EOCP is a provincially recognized body. They're not from the province, but they are the regulator for the province of BC. The operators that we have, through our Waterworks department are EOCP certified, and that is the standard in the province.
And how many do we have?
I would have to get the exact number, but the vast majority of our staff that would be in a semi-skilled position are certified, and all of our staff that are in a supervisory role would be certified operators.
Yes, the general manager, could you let me know how many people we actually have that are fully certified?
Thank you through the chair to Councillor Heed. I also do not have the exact number. That's something we could provide at a later date.
And their certification qualifications. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Sorry, was there back again? No, okay. All right, we put that on the floor already, so we'll get the motion for the staff recommendation. Item number 2, all those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Thank you. Item number 3, we have Tilbury Phase 2 Liquefied Natural Gas Expansion Project, and we got Chad Pollen and company. Right, oh, wrong speaker. There we go.
Just a note that Nadia Chan couldn't be with us today, but I have Curtis Tillier with me at the table in case there's some questions I need support with. I have nothing further to add, but available for any questions.
Great, thanks. Councillor Dade, like to start off?
Thank you very much. There couldn't be a worse place to put a LNG expansion project than on the Fraser River, the most significant fishing river to the harbor in all of Canada. Also so close to residential areas. And I see in the report that the last time we formally expressed opposition to the project was 2020. Well, since then, we've been shut out of the process for being involved in a number of issues. And I think it's time because if you look at the attachment 2 of the report, it talks about all of the ways that we have been shut out of the process. And I think we need to write another letter to the BCEAO and complain bitterly that, there is no dedicated communication person. Richmond's been shut out of a number of the areas for comment. And right now, the public comment period closes in 2 days or 5 days on July 27th. So I'd like to make a motion that we reiterate our opposition to this project.
To staff, do you feel that's what we're doing with the comments that are prepared here?
Through the chair to the chair, if I could just clarify some of the comments there. We have been actively participating as a technical advisory on the committee throughout the entire environmental assessment. We have had the opportunity to make comments on all of the technical information as directed by staff in 2020. And just a reminder to the committee, council did reaffirm their opposition, I believe it was in 2023 as well, but will clarify that we've had little feedback from the federal ministries on that feedback or letters sent from the mayor on behalf of council. We've had some supportive letters from Burnaby, Vancouver, and New West stating support. Happy to take direction on additional letters, but just wanted to point that out, that we actually have been active on the technical environmental assessment throughout. The one sticking point, if I may, is that we have been pressing the AO to have Richmond-specific meetings in the community.
Yeah.
Perhaps what you're referring to, Councillor Day, but they, for whatever reason, do not implement that. So it's either a virtual or they'll have an open house in Delta on that fact.
And it says in, the attachment 2 is on page 154, and it says that, the cities, such as the city of Richmond, are not on the distribution list for ambient air quality monitoring reports, and that the city requests under cumulative effects, that the city requests condition 18.2 be amended to include the city of Richmond or local governments on the distribution list of these updates. So, and then, like you said, we didn't have an open house in Richmond, and it's just, we of all people, should be included in this process in a far more welcoming manner, in my opinion. So.
Good, thank you. Yeah, so seeing no other questions on this, so what we are looking at doing here with the staff recommendation is to submit the comments within the comment period, which is closing on the 27th. And we do know that this is kind of the last piece of the whole Tilbury LNG program that includes the jetty and now the expansion. So after this phase, like it's a done deal if the decision and certificate come by the end of this year. If there are no further comments, questions, then I'll look for someone to move the staff recommendation on this one. That's moved and seconded. All those in favor? Any opposed? As with Councillor Liu opposed. All right, and then I have, before we go on to the next item, I have a, oh, sorry.
A letter to further iterate, since it's been 3 years since we told them how unhappy we are with the LNG expansion, wouldn't it be now or never to write another letter?
So we could direct, like, from the mayor's office, a letter
Yes.
to go out, like.
Yeah,
letters?
reiterating, well, all of the shortcomings of the project and Richmond's lack of ability to access the information I mentioned earlier.
Okay, so you're making that motion now. I'll second it.
Yeah.
And so, is there any further discussion?
No,
Anyone have
I
a
think
further
staff know what
comments
to
on
put
this?
in the letter. We're not going to write it for you.
Okay,
You know
so
you
they're
don't.
going to submit the comments through the comment process in addition.
In addition,
a letter
officially.
A letter to, who did you take that to?
Who would it be to? Sorry, you can help me out.
Through the chair to Councillor, that would be likely to one of the ministers
Okay.
involved, yeah, that we can send. In the past, we have copied other local governments as well, including Metro Vancouver, and staff can definitely do that as well if you, committee so chooses.
So everyone that we included in the last series of letters in 2020 and 2023 would just go with the same list.
Staff can take the exact same approach if that's what you'd like.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Okay, seeing no further comments on that, then all those in favor of that motion to add, any opposed? Councillor Liu opposed, so that's carried. Thank you. And then I'd like to have a referral motion as well, which I passed around the table. It's that one page here. So I came up with this after reading this this item and thinking what more could come from Richmond. No matter what happens with this project, it doesn't hinge on it in any such way. And I think it's quite timely because there's quite a surge around the world of jurisdictions using legal terms and giving rights to nature. For example, giving universal declaration rights to trees, to mountains, to rivers. And so what this follows is the Universal Declaration of Rights of Rivers. And the example in the first line there is that the Magpie River in Quebec was recently declared. It's the only one currently in Canada, declared in 2021 by the local municipality. There's 9 rights that were given to that river, and then there's rivers in many countries around the world. So the referral motion is for us to direct staff, for staff to investigate what would come if we or someone else, some other municipality, brought the rights to the Fraser River. Part 2 talks about this, the staff of Public Works and Transportation, where this is coming to not work in a silo, but to collaborate with legal and parks and rec culture, Indigenous relations, the new manager, and other relevant departments, and how it fits in with existing strategies, nothing to come up with anything new. Part 3 involves opportunities to collaborate outside of staff, so with local First Nations, with regional municipalities. Just on Monday of this week, the District of Saanich did something similar to this, but it's more related to trees. Also highlighted in that item, or Part 3, that Fraser River Delta, our estuary where Richmond sits, is already recognized internationally by the Ramsar wetland site. And the fourth part has to do with what could be different, what policy tools could come out of the declaration when it comes to the protection of other features of the river rather than just industrialization of it. And then part 5 is for staff to report back, ideally by Q3 at some point. And I kind of thought at Q3, just because of this Tilbury decision's likely going to be in Q4. Again, it doesn't have to tie to this issue specifically, but I just thought it's another kind of tool that Richmond stands by, because as we've just heard, we've been following this issue in opposition for the most part since its inception. And so it just highlights the bullet points there of things that staff could report back on. So that's my referral motion. Is it seconded?
Seconded. Can I?
I have no further comments on it, so if anyone else has comments or questions, Councillor Day?
Yeah, thank you so much to the chair. On item 3 in your list was explore opportunities to collaborate. If we could add the Steveston Harbor Authority to that, I think they have a vested interest in this.
Great, yeah, I would approve putting that name in there. All right, anything else, Councillor Day? No. Councillor Heed?
Yeah, and I guess I was kind of looking for something a little bit different than us being standalone on this, given the fact that we're talking about the Fraser River. And we know where that originates, we know where it ends, okay? I'm just wondering, Chair, whether we go in on this alone or we have staff work, whether it's through UBCM or the provincial government, to try and get something broader versus us trying to go out on our own and do it. It was just a thought I was having with respect to getting more people involved versus just us, because if we do it just here in Richmond, it's, you know, the effect is very minimal.
Great, yeah, and I think that's partly what I'm looking for staff to do, to kind of put some feelers out there. I think we as well, I'm attending the UBCM and I have people in other jurisdictions I'll approach if this gets passed. Because what we're not doing today with this referral motion is declaring the Fraser River something with rights. So we're looking at, do we do that individually in the future, or do we perhaps do it in a much greater partnership, as you're suggesting there, which I think would be the better outcome if we were to work outside Richmond. So, any other comments, questions around the table? Okay, I will call the question then on my referral motion. All those in favor? Any opposed? And that's carried. Thank you. All right, that takes us to thank you, staff. That takes us to item number 4. This is ICBC City Richmond Road Safety Improvement Program update for 2026. The last couple of pages of our report, and we got Beatty from staff here. Anything you'd like to add?
Nothing to add, Mr. Chair. Happy to answer questions.
Great, thanks. Councillor Heath's got something first.
Yes, I do have a few questions related to this. So we're talking about our 2026 submissions. We've gone through the capital program funding part. And now we're going with this $7,200,000 to ICBC and say how much you're contributing. how many of these projects that you have listed here have we started?
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, most of the projects have been started. So ICBC, typically, the intake is quite late because they want the projects to be completed by the end of the year, wherever possible. So most of these have been designed and are starting construction or soon.
So ICBC, in effect, could say, we're not giving you a penny and we're on the hook for the full $7,203,000.
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, yes, these projects have all been approved without ICBC funding. So there's a combination of TransLink and City of Richmond funding that's been approved through previous capital programs.
Okay, so in relation to a few things here, and I've had some concerns expressed to me regarding Westminster Number 4 Road. And let me just, if you can visualize, and I went by there the other day, is on the southwest corner, there's new condo building built. The infrastructure for sidewalks, curb and gutter is fairly new. It's all ripped up now. How it was expressed to me is, we just did this, now we're ripping it up. You know, are we wasting money here? So, you know, I just, you know, and this is one of the more expensive ones, you know, $2,600,000. Do we apply any analysis with respect to what we're going to do at these intersections if, in fact, within the last couple of years, we just built the infrastructure there?
Sorry, could you repeat?
So do we do any analysis to determine whether we have to go into that intersection, rip up these brand-new sidewalks, and because we want to change the design of it? Like, is there no forethought that comes into this before we start spending $2,600,000?
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, we definitely do try to coordinate work as much as we can. Development, sometimes the timing of development work is difficult to control. In this particular case, there's a shift in the curb alignment just because we are looking at constructing an additional left turn bay to kind of alleviate some of the traffic concerns.
So whether the developer had to pay for it or not, it'd be interesting to see how much that did cost and how long it was in place before we ripped it up, because it looked significantly brand new to me when I looked at it. So I just think we've got to look at this with a little more of a focused lens when we start going in there and looking at stuff like this. When we go back to down to the installation of traffic video cameras, just so I'm correct on this, these are just the traffic cameras. They're not the red light intersection cameras with the photo or radar in them. Is that correct?
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, that's correct.
So these are the low resolution traffic cameras, which I have an issue with, but we can leave that to a different point of view. Now, we also, although we spent the $175,000 for the 30K speed that we decided as a council we wanted in all of our residential areas, we're going to ICBC and saying, you know, here, this is what we're doing, correct?
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, that's correct. And ICBC will assess how much they fund. Sometimes they contribute $3,000 for a project, sometimes more, depending on the number of accidents they anticipated reducing.
Well, is that the only criteria they use to determine whether or not they're going to provide any funding to us, how many accidents they prevent? Because how you look at accidents, you can look at them a different way. There's slow-moving accidents, which cause minimal concern, but they're a statistic, or there's the ones late at night where the cars are running red lights and causing almost fatalities or even fatalities at times. Is there any weighting of the criteria that's used? Do you know?
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, ICBC doesn't provide us with strict formulas or criteria for how they evaluate, so they just let us know how much they decide to fund. What we've seen in the past is typically for intersection upgrades and signalization of intersections, we see more funding associated with those.
But, and you may not know this, but it'd be interesting to ask ICBC, do they do it strictly based on a numerical number of accidents that occurred at a particular intersection, or do they weigh the seriousness of the accident?
We can certainly ask that question.
I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Councillor Heed. I'll just add, my other comment was going to be around the speed limit signage. And I've learned from staff that we're installing the signage from the west to the east. And there's, I think, 50 neighborhoods. And so 25 have been done in about a month. And the next 25 should be finished by the start of the school year in September. Is that right?
That's correct.
Awesome. And I also acknowledge that out of the 35 or so projects listed on this page, 10 of them are east of 4 Road, which I find a lot of the wear and the tear on the roads with the farm equipment and the trucks and maybe less traveled, less complaints, but are definitely in need of some of these features, especially the uninterruptible power supply on Westminster Highway in Hamilton has been a very concerning thing that I've noticed when the frequency of power outages occur. Councillor Glanders, did you have your hand? You're good. And then we're going to Councillor Hobbs.
Thanks, and through the chair. Yeah, just a couple quick comments. The uninterrupted power supply, that's a really important one, so that's great. And just a compliment on the traffic calming on between Trites on Westwater. Sometimes we don't quite get those speed humps necessarily or speed cushions exactly right, but the ones on Dyke Road and the crosswalk are really good, and the ones on Westwater have been over numerous times, and I think they're doing the job and very effective behind Homeless School from Trites. Thanks.
Thank you. And Councillor Day?
Yeah, and I want to speak about the Bayview speed bumps as well. I was actually at an event in that area, and the fellow that I was visiting said, here, you can hear it, you can see it, you can see it. So we went out on Bayview, and there's a guy popping wheelies on a motorcycle, racing up and down, not far from where the school is, you know, like just so irresponsible. So I stepped out in front of the motorcycle and told him he couldn't do that. And he basically gave me some colorful words. But then I reached out to staff, and you guys were brilliant. You managed to talk to the neighbors, confirm that it was an issue and not just a one-off, and got those speed bumps in. And I have received so many letters thanking me. I'm like, hey, don't thank me, thank our staff, because you're the ones that made it happen. And thanks.
Great. That's all. Okay, well then I don't think we have a motion yet, so.
Yeah, Westwater, sorry. Yeah.
Okay, someone, motion on the staff recommendation? Moved and then seconded. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Thank you very much. All right, moving on to the additional item added by Councillor Heed, and that is for A. It's the Granville Avenue crossing over what would be Shell Road, but is the Shell Road Trail and the train tracks. Yeah, so go ahead, Councillor Heed.
Not sure whether there's someone that wants to delegate on this or not. I believe there is someone that wants to delegate on this issue.
Would you like to speak to it first, or you want to delegate first? Okay,
I think we
great.
hear that.
Come on up, sir. Take the middle chair there. The mic's on. Hold it close to you, and if you could introduce yourself. Introduce yourself for the
My
record.
name is Nat Matharu.
Okay.
I'm a resident of Granville Avenue since 93.
Great, thank you. You have 5 minutes to tell us.
And it's a concern about crossing a railroad crossing Granville Avenue. City of Richmond provided a walkway along this road, but somewhere 12 years back, they left this gap at the railroad crossing and nobody bothered to complete it. And we never heard why it's not completed. So now, since December, I started pursuing myself as this representative of that area. Make sure I was concerned, because we walk every day, we see people walking on the road every day. And there's about 35 feet length immediately west of railroad track. There is a trench on one side and road on the other side. People cannot continue walking, pedestrians have to go on the road. And now, thanks to City of Richmond provided lights, traffic lights on number 5 road, the traffic has increased now more often on this road, but it has become more dangerous for the pedestrians to cross there. And are we waiting for someone to get killed or have bad accident there? I urge the city of Richmond, I've been in correspondence with the city of Richmond since December last year. And I happened to invite one day Mr. Cash Heed, he happened to see this one. One day I happened to invite MLA Cooner, he's seen that, he sees, I said, I'm just trying to find someone who can help. And I heard last week, and Mr. Andy Hoff happened to drive by, he took a video of that, and he knows how difficult is that for the people to cross the walkway there. They have to go up the road in order to cross the 35-foot area. So I have been requesting the city of Richmond, please provide a 3 feet road shoulder so that people can continue that and don't have to go to the road. But I have been told that this is a big issue with the CN. CN will not let us do any work, not even touch this area. My question is, if the road on the immediate around the track is maintained by the city of Richmond, why not the road shoulder be a part of the road, should be extended and made easy for the pedestrian to cross there. If any one of the members happen to drive by, watch there, it's pathetic there, road is broken there, and road is depressed there. I wonder, I don't want to be negative. I'm a resident I love Richmond. 33 years I've been living on the street, and I'm a retired engineer. I paid my dues, but I love Richmond. So that's why voluntarily, last week I saw an old man, almost I was walking by, almost a car ran by, he almost about to fall. And at that particular section, immediately of a railroad track where I'm talking about the problem is. So I went and comforted him, and a week after that, some of us in the neighborhood, we voluntarily put pipes there in that area. 5 pipes, somebody must have seen it, drove by. We put pipes ourselves, and we put a danger tape around there so people are aware that they may not fall. That is, we're expecting the city to take care of some safety of that particular area. If we've been told we can't do nothing because CN is the big god over there, they have to dictate this, we can't touch anything there. So my request to City of Richmond is that please take some action on the safety issue. City of Richmond should have powers, authority, not to play with people's lives there. And that area, if sidewalk has been provided, we must provide facility for the pedestrian to continue there. We don't expect the pedestrian to go on the road. If we provide a sidewalk, we have to provide some facility, they can continue walking there. School children go to school there, number 4 road, school there. Elderly people walk there, and someone drive by, take a look there, stop there, and thus you will realize some reasons why that is being ignored or forgotten. I don't want to find fault again, that 12 years back, this should have been done, attended, but to me, CN is a big issue. Everybody says, oh, because of CN we cannot do, oh, we have to have funds from the CN, we have to have funds, $600,000 to upgrade the signal system as required by the CN. So what does it has to do with this providing a road shoulder, 3-foot wide road shoulder on the side of the road, just stacking a bunch of sandbags there, and it's not a rocket science, it's not a big job, but if someone has to give some serious thought, please, I'm requesting City of Richmond, give some thoughts to it, consider the safety. Now we've been told by the engineering manager, I've been in correspondence with him, that much file with me, but I've been told that we have to submit an estimate, hire an engineer to design that 35-foot area with the sandbags there, and then submit that to CN. Once the CN going to give approval, The approval process takes 6 to 8 weeks process to go there and then come back. Who knows how many weeks more to go there. So it is somewhat indefinite, no timeline. I'm saying, please, if we have to go through that CN process, sure, I'm not here to break any rules or regulations, but I'm asking safety comes first, whether CN or anybody, we must provide some passage, walkway for the pedestrian, at least that 35-foot area only 35 foot.
Great. I really value your contribution to this issue. You've really validated it for us. There's a number of questions from counselors who will like to ask you some follow-up right now. And then after you leave, we'll direct staff for further work on this. So just stay put. I'm going to send it to Councillor Heed first.
Yeah, I've got some specific comments to make with
Anything for the
respect to
delegate?
this. I have no questions for the delegate.
I'll come back to you then. Do you have something for the delegate? Okay, we'll go to Councillor. Okay, so Councillor Day has a question for you.
Thank you.
Councillor Day.
My parents lived on Granville Avenue between Shell and 5, so I know exactly what you're talking about. But the video that Councillor Hobbs provided was really excellent. It showed exactly what you're talking about. My question is, if for some reason we can't do that 3-foot shoulder, let's say because fighting with CN is too big of a problem, what would you think about having almost like a pedestrian bridge, maybe a little further to the north, that would maybe be 10 feet away from the intersection, so it'd be a slight diversion, but then you'd go right back to the sidewalk on either side of the 35 feet.
But you still have to cross the railroad track.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the railroad track you have to cross. It's immediately west on this side of railroad track is a 35-footer area. One side is a ditch, other side is a road. There is no road shoulder at all.
No.
And I even had a correspondence that requested that if city allows, could we do ourselves, if you allow us, if the cost is the issue, we residents are prepared to share the cost to provide a road shoulder of that area.
Okay.
But the big issue is the CN. Always everybody points towards CN. Oh, because CN, we cannot do nothing around railroad track up to a certain area. To me, there is something lacking in this understanding. We are misunderstanding the issue. CN may have stipulation, I don't doubt it, but when it comes to safety of the passengers, they must have some allowance. They would, if CN guy come there, he wouldn't refuse, hey guys, put some road shoulder, pedestrian can walk there. So my request is, please do something, provide at least road shoulder right beside the road. Road shoulder is a part of the road. So when we maintain the road, what's the road shoulder? Just a gravel and dirt, nothing else. So are we missing something? If CN requires the city of Richmond to upgrade their signal system at the cost of $600,000, I've been told by the general manager that we're going to put this $600,000 in 2027 budget. So, wow, okay. We wait for the proper sidewalk to continuity from east to west, but in the meantime, we do stop walking. We have to continue walk. So have people, the facility, if we provided them a walkway from number 5 to number 4 road, we should look at that. Right. That's one issue. The other issue, city has provided a temporary immediately of the walkway, they put some, they extended the sidewalk with the road shoulder, but that area has to be paved, blacktop has to be done. And someone has seen it, you cannot even walk on that area. City has done the job, but it's incomplete. You cannot walk without having some blacktop done on it.
Okay, thanks. And Councillor Hobbs, was your question to him as well? No. Okay. Then we'll excuse you. Thank you for coming. If you want to sit, there'll be further discussion on this item right now.
Thank you for
Thank
listening.
you. And is there anyone else in the audience who'd like to speak to this item today? Okay, thank you. So you can take a seat, and we're going to go back to the order before. So Councillor Heat.
Yes, thank you, Chair. And I know the general manager would chime in. Him and I have had various correspondence back and forth with respect to this, and a little bit from an advent of where we are in Granville. Blundell is the exact same roadway, similar. On the south side of Blundell, that was done several years ago, and I'm sure the GM will tell you how long ago that was done. That was all covered and paid for by CN. It didn't come out of the taxpayers of Richmond's pockets. The exact same thing is on Granville, and it's on the north side. However, it was never completed because if you look, there's not a full sidewalk. It's actually a paved area for people to walk, and then there's a curb on that to allow it. And it's the most bizarre thing when you come up to that railroad track, and as he said, 35 feet, where all of a sudden the paved walkway stops, but then it is so narrow when you go across the track, the only way you can go across the track is to come out on the road and walk across 35 feet. Then you go back to the paved walkway. And my understanding, this was the exact same situation on Blundell, but CN did cover it. Now, CN, according to the memos that we're receiving from our city solicitor and our engineering department, is they're citing the Canadian Transportation Agency under the Act, and they're arguing that there are jurisdictional issues with respect to this. And if in fact we are going to, even if it's a temporary fix to this, not like the fix we have on Blundell, that we still have to comply with everything that they're advocating for we must do at a costly price for the taxpayers of Richmond. So at the end of the day, and I think it would be advantageous before we ask any questions or go further, that the general manager would comment on it. I know he's well versed on what is going on with this particular file.
Thank you to Councilor, to the chair and all of committee. Yes, staff have been in communication with the resident. We've had phone conversation, in-person meetings. To simplify the matter, there is a jurisdictional boundary along this section. I believe it's 30 meters in width. And within that jurisdiction, a number of acts apply. And regardless if we do temporary gravel work, a road shoulder, a full sidewalk, CN's requirements are you got to submit a engineering design. Because we were aware of this and because staff are making this a high priority item, we already have started that design process. And we're working diligently to get some design options to CN, including discussion such as lower cost. So when staff are indicating a high cost of $500,000 to $600,000 due to the rail crossing upgrades, that's a scenario where a full crossing upgrade is required. We do not know what CN will require. This was based on previous communications, which is why we're advancing some design options and discussion with CN Rail.
Did you follow up on that? You're good. Moving to Councillor McNulty.
Yeah, thanks very much. Well, actually, I'm appalled that it's come to the stage. You know, a number of years ago, I voted for a couple $1 million to put concrete abutments along Blundell and along Granville, so seniors and wheelchairs could go down there. And that was a decision we made. And yet, we've come to a dead end. I guess it was a waste of money. Too bad. I think we got to show a will here in some way and not wait for CN. This is one of these, I guess, I wonder what the price of somebody get clipped as they're crossing a railroad track by a speeding car that's coming straight over, as you well know, comes over and comes down. Okay, and if you've ever driven there going up the other way. To me, I think and I'm glad to hear we're doing some design, I think we should put it on the table to CN and pay for it, because it makes the previous mile a waste of money on both streets, both Blundell and Granville. We busted our, you know what, to get it on there, widen it, make sure that people have it, to say, hey, you people that are east of number 3 road, you know, we really feel for you, and you just go out here, starts the concrete abutments start just down here at the corner of Garden City on the way. So I'd like to see a report back with, I'm not on the committee, but council, I'd ask for the report back for the next meeting in the fall of photographs and what we can do. We don't have to put a Cadillac down there, a Volkswagen will do. And I think we can do a number of things. And I don't think it's a matter of money. Yes, it's in the budget. We've got money. We had $1.8 billion. We can, if we have to do something. But I think we need to tell CN what we want. Because if we wait like we did at Williams for all the synchronization of lights, what do we wait, 10 years for that? That's how long we'll wait. In the meantime, the train comes by, every day at 2 o'clock or something like that. Dead on. So I think if we come up with a plan, show what we think the cost is, not even asking for them, let us do it and do it. Even if you put, as you get up on there, a board walkway in the middle of the track, bolted down so people can walk over, people can ride their bike over for whatever, a wheelchair could go over it. There are many ways to do it on the track portion. They use that kind of technology all the time, all over the province and all over the country. They know how to have walkways on if they want to have them. So I think I will support a Monday, well, it won't be Monday, but I think we have to have some direction on this one. I support 100%, because we've already made a major effort to have that from a safe point of view on there. So I think we can do it, and if staff can come back with a preliminary report, say where we're going to go. If it's $600,000, we can find it. I know where I can find it in the budget. Don't have to wait for it. It's there. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Councilor McNulty. We'll go to Councilor Hobbs.
Thanks, and through the chair. Yeah, this is actually astonishing, this location. It has to be the most unsafe pedestrian location that I've seen in Richmond. It's absolutely bizarre how you walk down the road, and then to get across, you have to actually walk onto Blundell in the westbound traffic to cross, Granville, sorry. Granville, you got Blundell in my head. But to walk eastbound, you have to actually walk onto Granville and walk in the westbound traffic lane. I did it myself recently and had to wait for a few cars, and there were other people walking there. So the thing with CN, I understand that there's jurisdictional issues, but at some point in the chain of command, even at CN, there has to be a point where a decision can be made on an urgent public safety issue that you can take an interim measure and do something short of redoing the whole intersection. Because if we wait to redo the whole intersection, we'll be waiting years. So I think one of the things we should do is, and I agree with the comments made already, but one of the people we should perhaps consider getting involved is MP Baines, because the rails are a national issue, and he probably has greater and quicker access to people in Ottawa and at CN than we do. But I appreciate the fact that work is being done. I appreciate the jurisdictional issues, but there just has to be an interim measure that we can take to allow pedestrians to cross on Granville Street safely and join up to the sidewalk. And there's probably some blacktopping we can do in the meantime, because even further to the west, I think that probably is in the city's jurisdiction, like where the trail is, and that's still gravel. And I would think that could be blacktopped. But there has to be an interim step. Thanks.
Yeah, I remember coming out of the Shell Road Trail on my bike and trying to take a bank to the right to go onto Granville, and you're all of a sudden, your only option is right in the moving lane of traffic. So it's quite an alarming situation, and it's thankful that it was brought forward by the neighbor delegate today to really bring it home. We have Councillor Liu who'd like to add to the discussion.
Thank you, through the chair. I wonder, there's a question to staff, if we need to have a recommendation that goes into closed, because I know some years ago, we were in discussions with CN Rail about some work that needed to be done over on the port lands, and because we wouldn't sign one of the deals, the whole thing fell apart. We lost the funding. The change hasn't been made. We were trying to get a flyover where the train tracks were, where the trucks are coming in. So instead, all the trucks are sitting all lined up. People are driving in the wrong lane on Blundell. Like, it's a junk show over there, to use a nicer term. But it was partly on us. And so I'm wondering if we need a referral to staff in a closed meeting to understand where the real hangup is, because sometimes it's us and sometimes it's CN and sometimes it's a combination of the two. And maybe there's a better deal that we can come up with, and maybe we're willing to give a little bit on one of these deals.
Thank you. Through the chair to Councillor Liu. Yeah, there's really two options to get a sidewalk across CN right away. One is through agreement and one is through a CTA order. And historically, City of Richmond typically gets an order through the CTA process. Any further discussion would likely have to take place in closed.
So should we go, do we need to go into closed to make the referral? Is that the recommendation?
Are the staff in the room who'd be able to speak to that, or are other staff needing to come here for that closed discussion as well?
We'll need legal probably, but to make the referral, I think we have to go into closed. Is that correct? Or can we make a referral that comes back in closed?
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Liu, the referral was to bring back a report with options, including interim and ultimate. That does not have to go to closed.
Okay.
Thanks. Back to Councillor Heed.
Yes, and you have your memo. A memo was given to you July 14th from the city solicitor with respect to what is going on. I don't want to take this meeting into close whatsoever. We absolutely have a right for the public to know what is going on there. The public was the one that brought this forward to us. Why the heck would we want to go into a closed meeting to decide what we're going to do for the public? I'd be absolutely, totally opposed to that. You look at your memo that the city solicitor sent to us. He lays out the city's position, and he also attaches a memo that's dated in August of 2025 from CN with respect to their position. So I will make a motion forward with respect to give the direction to staff to come back with options for us and to negotiate with CN with respect to the cost of this. That'll be the motion, because remember, CN did this, the exact same place on Blundell, exactly the same.
Any motions on the table? Any other further comments, questions? All those, okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Thank you very much. Okay, takes us to a couple of managers' report items. Communications Officer Dami would like to share an update about traffic notifications and the recent closure of news traffic radio 1130.
Thank you, Chair. Through the Chair, Committee. I just wanted to walk you through how our communications team is adapting to a real shift in our local and media landscape and how we're making sure residents are still getting timely, trustworthy information. As we all know, in the past, several local newspapers and few local radio traffic stations that the residents relied on have closed. This isn't just a media story. It's basically an information access issue for our community. As our residents relied on these outlets, our response in communications is to invest directly in our own channels, the channels that we control, so that we're not solely dependent on third-party outlets. And so what we've tried to do is build a multi-channel approach using our own platforms, the platforms such as our website, which is our central source of record for official updates, notices, and services, our social media platforms, where we basically put day-to-day information, updates, alerts, and also monitor community engagement, and also some digital outlets that we've basically been, that we've updated and also launched. Digital assets such as our brand new WhatsApp channel that allows us to push information directly to residents without needing media outlets. We also know that a lot of media reporters are now part of these channels, so they also do monitor this on a daily basis. So where are we right now with our new WhatsApp channel, which we recently launched to the community in the last 3 days? We've launched this out to the community, and we're now at over 500 people who have who have joined this. This really does enable us to reach people directly on their mobile devices, especially when it comes to information like updates to road closures, pool closures, and those type of important updates for our community. Why this matters? The reason why this matters is because as these traffic stations are closed and also media outlets shutting down, it's important that we have the ability to basically control the information that our residents need and to get out to them at the right time. Looking ahead, the next steps are for us to continue to grow our subscriber outlets on our new WhatsApp channel. We have formalized a rapid alert protocol on these channels for emergency road closures that can be pushed on all on our social channels and also on our digital assets. We're also able to track the reach and engagement because they're owned by us. And we're also looking to expand our e-newsletter ability to basically help this happen. That's the update I have. Thank you. I'm here for questions.
Don't see any, so appreciate you coming and sharing that and keep
you.
the numbers climbing. That's great. I think we have one other, a good news story, manager update coming up here, yeah.
Thank you to the committee. Staff would like to inform committee here that the province has declared Brazilian elodea now eradicated from the city of Richmond. Brazilian elodea is a highly invasive aquatic plant. At the time when it was detected in 2015, it was there was only 2 places in the province it was located, one here and one in on Vancouver Island. Over the last 10 years, we've been doing multiple assessments, chemical-free treatments and trials. We have had support from the province, including funding, and we were delighted to see the news that the province has accepted our final monitoring report and made the declaration. We're looking at some opportunities for a news release, and including maybe perhaps some posts to our new WhatsApp page.
Councillor Day, like to ask?
Well, great work. I know this, we had to dig out the ponds and wait for the freezing and all that. It went on and on and on and on. We don't want to have this happen again, and we're pretty sure that, I think you told me that it was somebody dumping a fish tank or something that did this. So do we have signs up in all of our water areas saying, for the love of God, don't put your fish tank water in this pond?
Through the chair to Councillor Day, perhaps not all the waterways, but definitely there's an intentional effort to put major signs up at local ponds, man-made ponds and marinas and things like that. We also take part in local clean, drain, dry programs that the province eradicates, as well as the don't let it loose programs. And then, of course, we work with our colleagues in parks, because a lot of those areas cover the parks areas too. So.
Great. You know, years ago, I needed to get rid of a fish tank, and I gave it away, and someone happily took it, and the plants and the fish, and you know, you can repurpose almost anything. One man's junk is another man's treasure, so don't dump it in the pond. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Staff, just have 2 quick other updates, items from members of council or committee. So we're going first to Councillor McNulty for an item about bike lane median painting at the 3 Williams area.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, just a question of staff. Down in Williams, we've put in nice bike separation, a concrete abutment, about guess what, a foot high, maybe 15, 18 inches high and about 18 inches wide. Bike lane comes in nicely in front of Tim Hortons. It's out in the thing, but it's concrete, dark night, whatever, somebody's gonna sideswipe it, et cetera. Is it the intention to have it painted yellow so that you can see it? Even in the deadlight, if the sun is in front of you and you're driving across the intersection, you get too close to it. And if we haven't painted it, we should paint it. And we should do that to all of them. It's not the only one we have in the city. I'm not criticizing what we've got. I'm just saying we've got to make it a little safer.
Sonali?
Do we have an answer for that?
Yeah, Sonali?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and to Councillor McNulty. Certainly, we can take a look at how to make that median more visible. It's been in place like that for several years, and it has delineators in advance to draw.
No, it's not been there for several years. It's new.
And we'll take a look at it to increase the visibility.
I want it painted. I almost ran into it south because of the sun in my eyes. And
Certainly.
not seeing it, so.
We'll
let's
talk
get
to our
it
roads
painted.
department to get that done.
Okay, thank you.
And we'll receive an update that something has happened there. Great, thank you. And last one is Councillor Hobbs, and that is Steveston and number 2 road sidewalk curbs.
Yeah, thanks, and through the chair, had a conversation with staff, and my understanding is they'll be able to look at this without a referral. But the issue is on the south side of Steveston Highway, so the southeast corner, southwest corner at 2 road, you know, the MUP resulted in new corners being constructed, and they come out a lot further. They're a lot more perpendicular than any of our other corners, and I don't think we're doing it anymore. So the request is that staff look at that and look at ways to improve that and make the radius a little bit more like it used to be. A lot of tire tracks right over the sidewalk.
Great, and staff will have a quick response on that.
Through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, yes, we've received similar comments, and it's something we can certainly look at and make improvements as appropriate.
Great, appreciate that. Thank you very much. Looking for a move to adjourn. Anyone ready for that? Motion to adjourn? Yes, we are adjourned. Thank you. We will immediately flop the binders over here to our Parks, Rec, Cultural Services Committee. All righty. Oh. All right. I'm going to call to order the Parks, Recreation, Cultural Services Committee meeting. It's an exciting room. We've just transferred over from Public Works, but Parks and Recs is far more exciting. So we're thankful that we're here, and we're going to get underway with Wednesday, July 22nd, 2026. And our first task is the motion to adopt the minutes from our last meeting on June 23rd. Motion to approve and seconded. All those in favor? Great. We're carrying on. Next committee meeting date is September 29th at 4 p.m. in this room. Our first item on the agenda, which is going to lead off with a delegation, is Richmond Arts Facilities Needs Assessment Report. And I'd like to start by calling up Jane Fernyhough to speak to this item. Welcome, and you got 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good afternoon, councillors. My name is Jane Fernyhough. I live at 13400 Princess Street, and I'm the current chair of the Richmond Arts Coalition. On behalf of the Richmond Arts Coalition, I am here to support the recommendation in the Richmond Arts Facility Needs Assessment Report. The 4 priority needs outlined in the report are exhibition spaces and auditorium, music performance and rehearsal spaces, theater performance and rehearsal spaces, and pottery studio spaces are all sorely needed spaces in our community, and the needs are only growing. The Arts Facility Needs Assessment contains very solid information. It's on the state of the arts and current needs for the sustainability and growth of the arts in Richmond, including needs that are not included in the 4 priority needs. The Arts Facility Needs Assessment, if you recall, was initiated with a presentation to PRCS in April 2023 by members of the Richmond Delta Youth Orchestra and Richmond Community Concert Band as representatives of the Musical Arts Collective. At that time, they expressed the need for permanent facilities for the musical arts, including rehearsal spaces, stable and environmentally controlled storage for instruments and music, classrooms, and small performance spaces. In response, Council endorsed 3 recommendations, which included conducting an arts facility needs assessment and a long-term vision to build purpose-built space for music and performing arts in Richmond. In response to the 3rd recommendation endorsed by Council of a long-term vision for a purpose-built space for music and performing arts, then in addition to approving the identified priority needs, I request that Council refer to staff to conduct a feasibility study for the music performance and rehearsal spaces facilities. This feasibility study would outline the program, spaces required to achieve the program, physical location considerations, capital and operating costs, partnership opportunities, possible operating models, economic impact, and funding and financing strategies. This would provide the information needed to be proactive in pursuing these much-needed spaces instead of just being on a long list of community needs, does not have the information to proactively look for opportunities instead of waiting for potential opportunities to appear and then be behind the proverbial 8 ball. And wearing my Chair of Gateway Theatre hat, I would also like to highlight the need for a fabrication workshop for building and storing of sets. Is this in the report as a need, but not front and center? Currently, Gateway must rent space in Vancouver in order to build the sets, and given the lack of storage, must dispose of the sets and costumes once the production is over. Not that sustainable. While this is mentioned in the needs assessment report in conjunction with the theater, performance, and rehearsal spaces, this could be a standalone facility in an industrial area. Given the need for this type of space in Metro Vancouver, could be an opportunity for a shared space if the right location with affordable terms could be found. In conclusion, the Richmond Arts Coalition endorses the recommendation of the 4 priority facilities in the Arts Facility Needs Assessment and also requests council to add a second recommendation to conduct a feasibility study for the music performance and rehearsal spaces in order to keep moving forward. Thank you.
Yes, with Councillor Councillor McNulty.
Yeah, just a quick question. The wellness or the strategy we have, it doesn't have that second recommendation in it?
No, it does not.
So what is exactly, do you have something written on that?
I do not, but I could, well, it'd be better for staff to write it, I
So
think.
the Arts Coalition is saying what exactly?
That staff be directed, I guess, to include in the capital budget for 2027, a feasibility study for the musical arts and performance space.
Feasibility study for musical art. Okay, all right.
Rehearsal spaces, yes.
And is there further comments?
Okay,
Councillor
thank
McNulty?
you.
You're good? Okay, thank you. Councillor Glanders?
Thank you. And this is because in order to get a project on the capital submission expediently, like we often do a feasibility study to sort of see the parameters of how much it might cost or where it might go. And so that is kind of the next step to getting it on the capital budget. Without doing it, we can't have it on the capital budget.
You would need to do a feasibility study before you
Right.
move forward on
So
anything.
to do that,
you know,
so that we're ready to go.
Yeah.
Okay, and then where do you see the fabrication workshop? You don't want that in the referral, but just put it in the minds that we should be looking for industrial space in Richmond?
Yes, I
Because
think
we
it-
have so much industrial warehouse space that you'd think there'd be somewhere, an opportunity somewhere where you wouldn't have to go to Vancouver.
Yeah, just don't want to see it buried in.
And it is in the
Yeah.
report, though, the fabrication
it's in the-
space, so just to keep it in mind.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Great. Okay, that
Thank you.
concludes that delegation. Is there anyone else from the public who's here today to speak on this item? Not seeing anyone. Okay, then we'll call staff up first to see if they have anything further to add, and then we'll get to committee members. So I think we have Ms. Baines, Ms. Fenwick coming up. Anything you'd like to add to your report or comments after the delegation?
To the chair, nothing further to add to the report. Staff are here to address your questions.
Great, thanks. All right, let's start off with Councillor Hops.
Thanks, and through the chair, just a couple quick questions. First, thanks for the report, pretty comprehensive, and I have an understanding of where we want to go over the next few years on that horizon. Just with the priorities, though, there's 4 of them, and I am curious, they're not in priority order, or are they, or?
Through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, no, the priority needs have not been identified or presented in a priority order. But this needs assessment did identify and validate individually the need for art exhibition spaces in an auditorium, which is a amenity that council previous considered as part of the Duck Island redevelopment. So as a priority need and consistent with that, we would envision the art exhibition spaces in auditorium being the highest priority need.
Okay, that sounds good, and yeah, I do remember that. Just one question about the cost of rentals and availability on page 143 of the report. There was some mention of that being an issue. So can you just comment how do we sit in terms of costs, maybe relative to other parts of Metro Vancouver, availability? What exactly is the scope of that issue?
Yes, through the chair to Councillor Hobbs. So both the Gateway Theatre and the theatre under the stairs at the Cultural Centre charge rates that are comparable to other rental facilities in the region. The Gateway has sliding scale rates, so they have lower rates for Richmond-based nonprofit groups, higher rates for commercial groups, also lower rates during the week, higher rates on the weekends, so there are opportunities to adjust costs there. One of the biggest issues for local groups, though, is availability. So in addition to running their own program, the Gateway does have a fulsome rental program, and during the rental program, the theatre is fully booked.
Okay, yeah, I experienced the availability issue, I think, going to a couple granddaughters' ballet recitals because we've had to go to New West and UBC the last few years. So that makes sense. And my last question through the chair is, you know, when I think of this, I think of, you know, you could have individual facilities for different things, but you could also have, you know, a campus, maybe things joined or in a similar location for some of it. And I just wondered, in Metro Vancouver, is there kind of a model that has been done? Because a lot of cities are doing a lot of infrastructure and some really great facilities. Is there one that is kind of the, you know, primo one?
Through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, the proposed approach in the needs assessment is that these priority needs could be delivered in multiple ways. So depending on the site or the opportunity that might arise, they could be delivered in one space or in multiple locations. This flexibility allows to move forward to respond to these needs in the community.
And through the chair, if I could just add to that, I think a lot of theater spaces and art spaces tend to be unique in different communities, but I think it's very common to see a co-located theater space with other arts amenities. So the Surrey Arts Centre in Surrey is a good example. The Shadbolt Centre in Burnaby has a proscenium arch theater as well as a studio theater. They're actually currently building a new theater at the Shadbolt right now. And also the Chan Centre might be another one that people are familiar with, where there's the auditorium for non-amplified music, and then there's a smaller studio theater that supports other types of theater.
That's where we were for one of them.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Councillor McNulty.
Yeah, thanks very much for the report. I'm glad to finally see it and see that it's here. Just a quick question, Councillor Hobbs, with the priorities. I'd like to throw it back at staff and come up with priorities so we know. Maybe you could do that for Monday so we can understand where we're going on it. I don't disagree with anything found in the report, but I think we need a little more clarity in terms of facilities needs. The other thing which I'd like to see, and I challenge the sport people as well, is I'd like to see metrics in terms of how many people. You say, well, we need arts exhibition space. Well, what are we talking about? 75 artists that need to display? Or are we talking 2? What are the metrics in that? We know with the Gateway what we're doing there. We know how many can accommodate, et cetera. But I really think we've got to start doing metrics, because somebody says, well, I want a new baseball diamond, but I've only got 7 ball players playing. Well, you're not going to get $1 million baseball diamond. I'm sorry. And we're not even going to go there. So we need to, and I believe the metrics are there. It's just we need to have them in our hand on it. The other question was, the Arts Coalition have said they'd like feasibility study in musical arts, and I would support that and give direction. What is your feeling on that? Is that something we need to pursue as well?
Through the chair to Councillor McNulty, should council endorse these priority needs, the next step would be to move them forward within the context of the capital project planning process for prioritization. And major facility projects that are identified to be priorities will then move forward with future planning efforts, such as program development or site-specific planning or feasibility studies or other such planning efforts that would line up with the capital planning process.
But will you have metrics for those? Why are we going to go ahead in some area if we don't know what we're going for how many? Like at the Gateway, when we get an annual report, they say they farmed out this, they've been booked all this. I mean, they have some sort of metrics, and they show the Gateway is not big enough. Okay, that's what I think council needs to hear, and I think the public need to hear. What if we go to referendum for an arts thing? I like the R word. It's a clean word, okay? And we went to referendum to build swimming pools. We went to referendum to build libraries. And I think it's something we could go to referendum for. Too late for this one, but for 2030, there's no reason not to go to referendum in a comprehensive package to say, well, we bought Terra Nova with referendum. I move the motion to get Terra Nova, 143 acres. Okay, that's how we can do business. So anyhow, I throw that back, And I hope senior staff take that under advisement. That, to me, is key, okay? Otherwise, we're spinning our wheel. And I'm going to add to referral to the staff recommendation and support it, and that we look at musical arts.
Okay.
It has number one underneath it.
Okay, we'll take that as referral after.
Take it under advisement.
Okay, well, we're still on the main motion here. We're going to Councillor Glanders.
Thank you through the chair. Yeah, and thank you for the report. It was great to see it. I'm really glad that it was wholeheartedly supported by the arts community, and I think it was really thorough. Just a question about Bill 46 and 47, when we're talking about that, that's only through residential developments, right? Like through commercial developments, we still have the ability to negotiate space like that, do we not?
Through the chair to Councillor Glanders, as a result of the provincial changes and introduction of Bill 46 and 47, there is a significant shift in terms of the way that cities are able to secure these types of amenities. Depending on the densities proposed and the development that is proposed, there may be opportunities to still be able to secure some spaces as a result of the city's updated OCP. That being said, we have been significantly challenged as a result of the changes in our ability to secure these on a regular basis.
I thought that was just in the residential tower, like not in industrial areas.
Within the residential areas, the transit-oriented areas for residential purposes applies only to the minimum and maximum heights and densities that are permitted. Within some of the commercial areas, within the transit-oriented areas, other policies apply.
Other policies in the bill?
Other policies in both the bill and the legislation in terms of how density bonusing applies, but also the city's new updated OCP as well has different policies to adjust to that framework.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sorry, go right ahead.
Same way we could come back. Just a little technicality, I'm just a little bit confused. So on PRCS 63, at the top there, it mentions the four strongest areas of interest, and it says music and performing arts spaces, and then it says theater, rehearsal, and performance spaces. But then later on, it's music, performance, and rehearsal space, and theater, rehearsal, and performance space. So the first one shouldn't be music and performing arts space. It should be music, performing, and rehearsal space, should it not? At the top of PRCS 63? 63.
Through the chair to Councillor Glanders, you're correct.
Yeah, okay, so that's just a little typo. Maybe we can fix it for Monday because it just makes it clear that one is for music and one is for theater. Okay, great. And then, and with regards to metrics, yeah, I think that is important too. At the same time, sometimes a population of things can start dwindling because the facilities aren't there, right? So like we heard from that band, for example, this is what spearheaded the whole thing, is the need for the music, the desperate need for somewhere to be able to store instruments and everything else. And it's been a couple of years. And so that band may have moved permanently out to Delta for now. But so then the metrics would show we don't have a band needing it. But when you build it, they will come, right? So we also have to just look at what we want and build for that. So I agree with the delegation on the referral. I think that given the music and performing arts space, the music, rehearsal, and performance space that we heard from that delegation that spearheaded this whole thing, I think it would be good to move forward with a feasibility study so that could be included in the capital process as soon as possible. Doesn't mean that we have to go forward with that as soon as possible, but I think that we should make that referral after this as well. And I definitely approve the recommendation. Thank you.
All right, not seeing, okay, so we'll take a motion on the staff recommendation first. All right. Move second, all those in favor? All right, no opposed, that's carried. And now we'll go to Councillor McNulty to word that.
I would move what the delegation is given to the staff, conduct a feasibility study for musical arts space and report back. And I guess that will be as a referral. I think we have to make it as a referral. Okay.
Yep. So I'll second that. It's on the floor. Anything else you want to say? And no one around the table? Okay, call the question on that. All those in favor and no opposed? We're carried. Thank you. All Okay, item number 2. There was, just at the start of the meeting, there was a package distributed to members around the table. That's what this one relates to. It's options on the management of Scotch Pond. And we have staff at the table first, so we'll ask if staff have any comments, questions, and then we'll see if there's anyone from the audience who'd like to share. So go ahead, staff.
Good afternoon. I don't have anything further to add to the report, but I will say we have the president of the Scotch Pond Cooperative, John Kapp, and a longtime member, Bud Sakamoto, in the audience, and they are happy to answer questions if there are any. They have also, as you can see, they're very passionate about the preservation of the history of Scotch Pond, and so what they've circulated for you here is some images from the archives, as well as a painting, I believe, that Bud did himself. So yeah, happy to answer questions.
Okay, we do have questions. We'll start with Councilor McNulty.
Yeah, thanks very much. A great report. I think we should be very passionate about Scotch Pond and what have you, but I know people, and I think about Sakamoto, John, have come forward and pass on material. I believe this came to our committee at one time, looking at Scotch Pond as part of what we were doing. And to me, it has tremendous significance to the history of Richmond. And I think there should be more signage and make it more of a destination point of what was put there, not only as a cannery, but also as housing for the community that lived there at the time. And I really feel that going into that is very, very important. Unfortunately, it needs dredging, and not only that, but at one time we did do, I can't remember the year, we did dredging. We did dredge it at one time, and the co-op, Fisherman's Co-op, looked after it for many years. So I heartily endorse the recommendation that we've got on the floor to put some money towards it. To me, it's one more story in the history of Steveston, but it's a forgotten story. And that's a thing, and I hope Tourism Richmond is hearing as well. Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you. No comments on that one, so we'll go to Councillor Hobbs.
Thank you, through the chair. Yeah, thanks for the report. Yeah, I agree with everything Councillor McNulty just said. It is a very fascinating piece of our history. I think I have no trouble endorsing this either, to go forward and see what we're going to do in the future, because don't take this the wrong way, but my understanding is the society, the board, is in favor of this because the current situation there is just not sustainable, I think is fair to say. So there has to be a new path forward, not just in continuing it, but improving it and seeing how we move forward with Scotch Pond and what happens there. Because I have been through it a couple times, and you know it does need need some work in order to recognize it at the level that it should be recognized at and maintained in Richmond. So it's kind of a rhetorical question. I think it's fair to say that the board is on side with what we're doing, and I think that's important. So I'll be supporting this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Glanders.
Yeah, thank you through the chair. I agree with the comments around the table, and great to see, you know, the passion around this. It's definitely one of the most beautiful spots, especially when the sun is setting, and the color on the water there is just amazing. And to know that the use is changing, it's not being used as commercially anymore, and so it's going to be shifting. So we get to direct sort of which way we go with it in a way that preserves the heritage, and then hopefully more people would be able to access it and know about it and learn about it. And it's not just something you walk by and see, but it's something that's accessible for everybody and preserved. And that's great. I think this is really money well spent. Thanks.
Okay. Councillor Day.
Thank you again for the report. A history lesson. This was amazing to learn about this. The city bought it in 1989, and then the cooperative was formed. But currently, there's just 21 members, and of them, only 11 have vessels. And when I look at the pictures of the silted-in area on the other side, it's just heartbreaking that it's not the way it was in these pictures that you have submitted, which I counted 37 boats in this picture, and we're down to 11. I guess what I'm concerned about is on page 165, under options for management of Scotch Pond, a lot has been listed, interpretive center for the river, natural environment, water sports center, artists and residents, pleasure craft moorage, and storage for city assets. Is there a vision that we would be able to maintain the fishing boats that are still there?
Through the chair to Councillor Day, I think that is certainly something that we will be looking at as part of the feasibility study. It is a complicated site and there's a lot going on with the pond itself. So I think we need to do further work to understand what would it entail, what would be the impact on the area, and what might be the value that we would get from doing that work.
Right, okay, so if for some reason it was focusing on these options and there wasn't room for the fishing boats, what would happen to them?
Through the chair to Councillor Day, we have been in discussions with the Steveston Harbor Authority, and if those boats were in need of relocating, they do have space at the Harbor Authority for it.
Okay, so they're not out. That's good. Okay. Well, I mean, you have to, spend money to come up with brilliant ideas. So let's get started. Thank you.
Thanks. I just have a couple of questions myself. So that list of 5 options on page 165, leading into it, it does say, but not limited to. So there's definitely more options out there. And I'm also considering maybe like some hybrid options where it wouldn't just be a single exclusive option, but many more uses. I also have heard the interpretive center potentially being an estuarium, which might be a new building in addition to use of the existing building. So I think there's lots to go through. I think the feasibility study is important at this stage. My other question to staff is in regards to facility condition assessment. On Monday, we had a discussion at the table around the First Nations building, and there was the assessment of the building that was done, which then deemed the building derelict and condemned it for public use. I can't remember who said it, but right away it stripped the potential for it to have a heritage status. National heritage status. So I just caution that the updating the facility condition assessment of this building, that it doesn't potentially do that it doesn't somehow right away take away that potential for national heritage status.
To the chair, to Councillor Wolf, undertaking a condition assessment does not impact designation status. The condemning of a building would have that impact, and I do not believe that this building is at that risk.
Okay, great, thank you for clarifying that. I also would like our esteemed delegates who've been here for an hour and a half, if they have anything that they just heard that you wanted to respond to, or if you wanted to give just a little caption to go along with the images, because I'd like to put these in the minutes. Would you like to share anything further?
I'm John Kapp. I was born and raised in the Steveston area. My mother, aunt, and uncle went to Lord Byng, and in the 20s and 30s. So we're grounded like in Steveston, like Bud is. And I would like to, I gave you these quick pictures. And regardless of the commercial application in the future, I think the city has to respond to a few dynamics that are very important. So I gave you the pictures of the pond leading out from behind, the aerial picture. And then there's the lateral picture looking north. And you notice there's a building adjacent, the white building. And it was a co-op. And not much is known about it. I actually talked to a friend of mine who was one of the owners who the city bought the pond from after Canadian Fish sold it to them. And he said he didn't really know what was going on. And I know growing up in Steveston, I was born in 55, so in the early 60s, we would go there and we would look around the old building. And since that time, that has silted completely over. completely over. You wouldn't know that there were buildings there, and you wouldn't know that there was there was access, there was marine access, and regardless of if we can have a moorage facility or reduce moorage facility, something has to be done. We can't have that silting in. We can't have that encroachment of that habitat eating up that area, because Gary Point Park is the jewel of Steveston. And you look out over it and you see the pond and you see the boats, and I think that's important. And one thing, I think Councillor McNulty mentioned that there was a community that lived where Bud's picture and underneath it, they lived there. It was primarily Japanese community. They lived there from the early 1900s to 1941, when Pearl Harbor broke out. So they were interned and left, but that was also a staging ground. The Navy took over that cannery and that storage area, and Bill will tell you, and they took it over, and that was a staging ground for the movement of all the boats. Within 2 days of Pearl Harbor, the Japanese had to bring their boats from up and down the coast and into the river and up to New Westminster, where they sat for 6 years. So that's an important site. The stories that Bill's talking about. But the white building that you see, that is currently the Scotch Pond building, there was, after the war, there was the fishing companies were recruiting Japanese fishermen from all over the areas, from Bridge River, all of where they were interned, where they couldn't come within 100 miles of the coast. And the Canadian Fishing Company got on board, and they recruited, I think there was over 70 initially, fishermen or fishers, and they dropped off all this material to build this net shed. It was built entirely by Japanese. And from that day on to now, that is, I think, the value of that building, one of the values of that building. That they came back after being interned, and I think that's important too. And that's one of the reasons. And that photo down below, that was probably the 1970s. And you just look at the condition of these boats, and Bud's dad was a boat builder. These are all Japanese-built boats built out of cedar, and so the site does have some other significance. Then the city has to do something about it, regardless of whether or not there is a reduction of demand for fishing, commercial fishing. There's fleet reductions, there's buybacks. There are a number of vessels in the pond that the individuals sold their licenses, and they're looking at selling their vessels. My brother and I are probably the only ones that have valid fishing licenses, because we're still in the game. My brother mainly. And we're waiting for a couple of these guys to sell their vessels. And we're not under any illusion that it's going to be a moorage facility like it was. You also have to address the heritage floats. It's a very large float, a continuous float, that will be an issue in the future. And
Thank you.
I don't know.
But did you want to share anything? Any story behind your painting?
I would like to emphasize water safety. I think there's a lot of people don't understand what the dangers of the Fraser River is. It's as you know, a few weeks ago, there was a disaster thing, and then there was another one about 20 years ago when the same boat capsized and things like that. And there's been quite a number of fishermen even lost because the river and the west wind don't get along, and they start to fight each other, and it creates all kinds of very unusual water conditions that nobody understands until you get into it. And they should, I think there's a lot of public information needed about water safety in general. And then the other aspect of the water safety thing is that you may not believe me, but there is a navigational channel that's well-defined. And the guy that's the pilot and the captain on a deep sea ship, he can see for miles, but if you're within 300 or 400 feet of it, you can't see it because you're underneath the bow of the boat. You know, so the general rule I've fished on the Fraser River for 60 years, and everything from Point Roberts to Point Grey, and from the mouth of the Fraser up to the New Westminster. And every part of that river is different. And as fishermen, you have to make sure that the skipper on that freighter can see you or know you, or that you're going in a particular direction. And you have to do all this in advance so he knows where you're going to be. And otherwise, if he doesn't know, he's going to blow his horn at you. And if you're not knowing what that horn signal is, I mean, you can get run over by a boat, and that has happened. But the other thing is that the mouth of the Fraser River is probably one of the most dangerous waterways on the BC coast, and not everybody knows that. And I think it's part of the water safety stories that you need to tell. You can explain all this stuff. So there's a whole aspect of education that's needed on the water that I don't think it's there right now. And I think perhaps Scotch Bond or somewhere like that could be the catalyst to begin that. So there's a lot of things that I think Scotch Pond can do for the betterment of our community. So I think I'll just leave it at that, because there's a lot of things that we have to talk about before we can start laying it all out. But I think the concept should be safety on the water.
Appreciate that. Well spoken. Thank you. Thank you both. And all those in favor? It is carried. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next up is item number 3, street banner referral response update. And we got Mr. Gross, Ms. Berlin. Yeah, there we are. All right. Anything you'd like to add, gentlemen, to the report?
Through the chair, nothing further to add, and happy to answer any questions.
Okay, we'll start off with Councillor Galanders.
Thank you, through the chair. Yeah, thanks for coming back. This is a much more reasonable proposition than what we had on the table last fall. So it's a good reminder that there's always lots of different options to things, right? Not always just the most expensive. On the recommendations there, I'm in support of your recommendation that we pay for the cost. I'd even be okay with us paying for the cost of the banners as well, for the 10-8. But if the association is happy to be part of it and that's in their budget, I think that's a good way to go as well, just to create that inclusiveness. The PRCS 172, the recommendation is the 9,000 we'd be paying for, and then they'd just be paying for the 1,800 for the banners. And then, so my question is what would be the process then for choosing the design? Because this isn't like any other, this isn't just art, this is culture. And so I would assume that the HTHA will come up with their own designs, something that they agree on. And then when the banners have to be replaced every year, just because they do get ripped and everything. Are they going to work on coming up with a new design every year? Or are we going to help them with that and recommend and match up artists?
Through the chair to Council Glanders, yet to be determined. They're just very excited to move forward with something. Yes, we would have to be cognizant, is it representative of the area, has to follow certain guidelines from the city and really work with them to come up with a solution moving forward.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if they don't maybe have the graphic design or the ability to actually create the design, but they could tell you what they want, then are we able to run it through something that we can come back to them with a design that then they can approve?
Through the chair to Council Glanders, for sure, we have skilled staff available to support this. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Thanks for your work on this. Thanks for coming up with something creative for the entrance points. It's just perfect instead of the whole street. And I definitely think we should be going with the recommendation and paying for it as opposed to option 2, because everybody's going to be able to enjoy these, right? It's not just them. So it's great. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Yeah, so we do have option 1, which is about the cost, and so cost sharing is that option 1, but we also had in the package configuration 1, which has to do with the support arms being perpendicular to the direction of traffic as opposed to parallel to the direction of traffic, configuration 2. So I think what we're looking at here is 1 and 1, configuration 1 and option 1 on payment. Okay, so Councillor McNulty.
Yeah, thanks very much. I think they have to be perpendicular so you can see them. Thank you for the report. Surely we can pay for the whole thing. You know, we stand and pat ourselves in the back of the highway to heaven. We think we're great, we brag about them and everything else, and we want to ask them to put in that. And Tourism Richmond puts the Highway of Heaven in their brochure, and whoopee, we're good, and we're going to ask them for $1,800. I'll donate it to you if you want it. I mean, I just find it, sorry, it's an insult to hold a whole highway to heaven from Blundell to Steveston Highway. I just feel very strong about this. We're a bunch of hypocrites. So I'm going to move that we pay the whole amount. It come out of the banner program. We've got a great banner program. And if you need more money, I know where $1.83 billion is. We can. That's option 3. That's good too. Option 3. So I'm not criticizing you. Okay, I'm criticizing us. And I look around the table. If you can't come up with $1,800, you shouldn't be sitting at this table. Okay? I'm sorry, but these are the folks that, oh yeah, we want to get our picture taken over at the Gudrara, don't we? Yeah, well, it cost you $1,800.
Through the chair to Councillor Glanders and Councillor McNulty, a little bit of uniqueness to this is option 1 is more representative following the policy, and we totally support whatever direction committee wishes to go. Option 3 is more folding it into the program. So the bit of the crux there is really it's a hybrid because under option 3, we do the banners ourselves. Underneath our umbrella, we consult with the community on what those are. In this case, what I'm hearing from the table here is that we would want to still have a unique banner through the association. So it would really just be, you would amend option 1 to reflect the total cost coverage.
But just take the money.
So we'll amend option 1 to include the whole cost of the
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, we'll go to Councillor Day.
Yeah, of all the things I'm proudest of in Richmond, Highway to Heaven is my number 1. When you see them at the Salmon Day Festival with their banners all together and they do all these, I mean, where else in the world do all these different faiths work together, not just tolerating each other, but supporting each other, sharing. They sit down at the beginning of the year and have a calendar and decide when they're going to have their festivals so they can support each other, share parking lots, have shuttle buses. And I think it's amazing. And it's been nominated previously for Wonder of the World in Canada. And I think that this is something to really celebrate. And that's why I brought this forward. And I was curious, when did I bring this forward? And I have an email from manager Elizabeth Ayers, May 2024. So it's been 2.5 years. I think I'm so thrilled to see that this is finally coming forward. And I think we should pay. I can't vote on this committee because I don't belong to this committee, but I wholeheartedly support paying the $1,800 on top of the $9,000 for the infrastructure. It just makes it simpler. When it comes to the design, we do have the banner contest where, we have artists from the community submit designs. So we could do it ourselves, or we could put it out to volunteers, but I'll leave that in your hands. You know what's best. But I know there were 76 polls, we were told, and originally the plan came to do all of them, and that wasn't really what we meant when we made the referral. So I'm so pleased that we've got down to brass tacks and we're making it happen. So thank you so much for putting this together, and I'm really excited to see it. So thank you.
Thanks. My question is, so as you've already met with the Highway to Heaven Association, and they indicated that they had capacity to support the cost, was that in addition to them like wanting that the existing structure where they work on the design and it's all like they feel like it's more theirs as opposed to what it sounds like we're amending it to being, where it's the city doing it and we'll just ask or show you what we've come up with? Like, are they going to feel that now things are, some of the autonomy is being taken away from them?
To the chair, given the circumstances, they were excited to come forward with something, I think, unique to their environment. Over the years, we've had a number of conversations with them through different types of engagement on some type of formal entry, be it banners, be it signage, be it et cetera. So I think regardless of what direction we go, they'd be happy to see this move forward. I think if committee supports this, we would go back to them and we can flesh that out further as to how that truly unfolds. I think if the motion is to fund it, then we can see where that takes us.
And then I'm not fully clear on it as well, is are we going to fund it every year? So we're taking that $1,800 each year as opposed to just this first installation. I think that's what the amendment is doing, is that annual cost will be borne by the city.
That is correct.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's the only question I had. You're going to go back to the group, but Councillor McNulty has another one.
Yeah, I sat on their committee on this, so I'm fully aware of what they want. They want welcoming to the Highway to Heaven. That basically, they might not even change their banner from year to year, depending on what they want. That's what they want, is a recognition of Highway to Heaven. They don't necessarily want one of the banners that we pass and with our wonderful program we put on Two Road Bridge. So I think that's the key. And I think that's what we look at. They have already designed a banner, believe it or not, that they would like, and I think we let them do it. It's a religious organization, and it's how many of them, 27 of them along the way that are united together to say, we all agree with this. We're one family. Let's stay out of the kitchen. Thank you.
All right, so we'll take a motion for the staff recommendation amended option 1 so that the city takes the full 800. Yeah, so that's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? And you've got that. Okay, thank you. Call the question. All those in favor? And any opposed? That is carried. Thank you. We're going to item number 4, a lengthy title, funding for the public art program in relation to the community mural program. And we've got Melania here.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Here to present the report. Nothing to add and happy to answer questions.
All right, terrific. Thank you, Arch. So what we see before us are kind of 4 options. I just want to clarify this one a little bit. So we got kind of 4 options moving, starting on page 182. One is about increasing the art program budget to allow for a higher budget for, we don't really have a set number what we would be looking for, but at this point. So option 1 is doing that through developer contributions. Option 2 is doing that through tax-funded contributions. Option 3 is to move money around under the existing public art program budget. And then option 4 is to revise any partner organization that takes part in the mural program to pay the 25% mandatory amount. So that's the 4 options presented. There's no staff recommendation. As you read through the report, there are other ways, such as the recent installation on the Stevenson Hotel, that additional murals can be budgeted for. And so we're basically given this recommendation to be received for information. So with that, I'll go around the table if there's any other comments, questions of Councillor Hobbs, or I'm not finding my cursor. There it is.
Thanks, and through the chair. Yeah, my understanding, particularly on page 182, is that although it's not clearly stated as a recommendation, my understanding from reading this report is that the budget you have is sufficient when you take into account the budget and also the capacity to actually do murals. And so there is no need to increase this budget, is my interpretation. Is that right?
Yes, through the chair to Councillor Hobbs. The report is presented for information, so we were trying to respond to the referral for options to increase funding to the program. The way the public art program works currently is funding comes in from developers into the reserve, and council approves the budget on an annual basis. So as part of the operating budget every year, we bring out recommendations forward to council. So those can be adjusted on an annual basis depending on opportunities or increasing costs. So recently we did increase the ask for the mural program to reflect escalating costs to complete the murals. So status quo would represent the continuation of council approving the mural program on an annual basis. We feel the number of murals we do annually is right-sized for Richmond. The program is sufficiently competitive that we get good walls and good locations. We get partners that bring forward money. We definitely do see people in the community now maybe being inspired to do their own murals. So I believe the Steveston Historical Society has recently reached out to council to let you know that they were able to raise funds for their mural and they are able to self-fund that mural. So we're able to support and assist them with that project. So yes, the recommendation is received for information for that reason.
And just to clarify, so no budget increase is required at this time. The program is right-sized, as is the budget.
Through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, correct.
Thank you.
Great, thanks. Councillor McNulty?
Yeah, actually, it's a question of Mr. Rees. In terms of developer contributions and the new rules we're facing from across the water, are we still able to demand from developer contributions what we want? I mean, it's great to say we don't need any more money, but maybe there won't be any money at all.
Through the chair to Councillor McNulty, the city has been successful in securing voluntary contributions. The city's public art program is a voluntary program. And it is typically applied on a per square footage basis for that development. So we continue to be able to secure and reach agreements with the developers on providing that as a voluntary contribution secured at the time of rezoning.
But it's not mandatory. They could say no.
Through the chair to Councillor McNulty, it is a negotiated contribution that is secured through the rezoning process.
I know, but theoretically, they could put their back up and say, Victoria said, I don't have to donate, and I know it's not an amount. Now, I just think we need to clarify the air for the record. I'd like to see even the mural program expanded, and obviously if there's money, because I think it's a great program. We've got it, and it's adding to our city. And even though we say we aren't going to do 6 a year, when are we going to have all the buildings covered? You won't be around, and I won't be around either. Okay, and that's what I say. Nothing wrong with having money in the bank. Okay.
Great. Great. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Thank you very much, staff. All right, taking us to last item on the agenda. There was no one in the audience to speak on that, was there? I didn't check. Okay. All right, item number 5, that's Richmond Nature Park study findings and next steps. Mr. Fraser, Mr. Chan.
Thank you, Chair. Nothing to add. Happy to answer any questions.
All right, Councillor Glanders, start off.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you for the report. I thought it was really interesting, and I like, the passion of talking about the significance of and importance of a bog and what we're going to do. But what I noticed was, or maybe I missed it, but we didn't mention the hemlock, and because I know it's a native species, so we were focusing more on the non-native species and their effect, but I know that the hemlock is naturally drying out the bog as well. So would like, I'm just wondering how that would work, because if we get rid of the blueberry and whatnot and everything else, isn't the hemlock still gonna dry it out? Like, is it gonna counter our efforts?
Through the chair to Councillor Glanders, certainly recognize the western hemlock is part of this trend we're seeing on site, where it's transitioning from a more traditional bog to a bog forest. As noted in the study, and I think identified in the executive summary, the European birch is probably the most problematic tree species from sort of pervasiveness and invasive standpoint. But I think as we move forward with this process and through the upcoming capital submission that we're anticipating, those pilot projects would look at different opportunities for management of invasive species, but also factoring in native species like the western hemlock.
Right, and so it could be sort of that, let's say we got rid of the birch, and we got rid of all the invasive species, and then can just sort of monitor the natural effects of it slowly merging towards a bog forest and what that looks like, but it would slow it down to the point where it's a lot more sustainable, probably.
Through the chair to Councillor Glanders, that's the hope. And
Okay.
that's something that ultimately we would be studying further.
Yeah, neat. Okay, thanks.
Thanks. Just to clarify, this item is what we see as a staff recommendation. We're going to consider that part one, which is a receive for information piece. But then we received on table the wording for a part two of that. So we would receive part for information, but then another component would be a capital submission request for bog restoration work. And I have some questions as well. Are you done, Councilor Glanders? You're done. Okay. So a couple of things I wanted to highlight. I value the fact that we'll go to a capital submission, but I would really like to see a wide range of options, because this issue is not just contained within the Richmond Nature Park east and west parcels, but it really does factor into the Garden City lands half, that's for bog conservation, that's actively being restored compared to others that are kind of still being left wait and see. And then it also really applies to the D&D lands that's in between our city parcels. That is the true most pristine bog that still is healthy in the bog state, not bog forest. And then another part is in the maps that are provided in the report on page 204, 203, 204, the lesser Lulu Island bog, which the city does own, the last remnant of it along River Road. And that, I hope, would be part of what a capital submission is for. So there should be some identifiable work actions in those sites, inclusive to perhaps see again about acquisition of the bog portion of the D&D lands, which has happened in other jurisdictions where there's a federal and municipal partnership over sites that were once exclusively federally owned. Also just want to highlight, we're going to get an update later in the year about this community energy and emissions plan and for 2050, and one big part of it is about enhancing the green infrastructure. And if we are going to lose control because of other federal incentives not being there or other shifts in market trends, one thing that we really can do in the city to support our SEEP document is enhance the fact that our bogs are sinks of carbon and not sources of them. So if they do go through succession and become bog forests and things beyond, or get lit up, these are now permanent sources of greenhouse gases and methane and other things that we don't want them to be the source of. We also, I and as the liaison with the Advisory Committee on the Environment received a slideshow from Mr. Fraser, and I'd like to request that be shared with all of staff, or sorry, all of committee or council, because I found it had relevant features that were not necessarily in this report. So I thought that was good. I didn't bring it with me, but I was part of the original 2008 bioinventory. That was an informative, that was a significant project with many professors and experts in their field that came to Richmond to study And now I go out to these sites. I just went yesterday to the Nature Park East. I try not to go too often because it's just heartbreaking to see how it's just gone from what it was over all of my years working at the Nature Park, volunteering there, going there regular, to now just being a Himalayan blackberry dominant site. And even in the 2008 report under the invasive species section, it doesn't even mention Himalayan blackberry as a threat. And now it's by far the #1 threat. And I'm thankful that council and committee supported getting enhanced blackberry staff hired, and they are hired through Parks and Public Works, and they're soon going to hit the ground running and try and identify some of the priority areas that we need to tackle. In addition to this, we just got a memo from, or in regards to the Youth Climate Corps staff that have been hired on for the pilot work, which might include work related to the bog restoration. So I think there's lots of moving parts. That's why I think the second component that we're going to put in the capital submission request it just will help propel this as a priority when it comes to what happens at the budget process. Because in the last 8 years, I've seen a lot of restoration things somewhere in the 5-year schedule, and they kind of stay out in the 5-year schedule. We need to start having it in every year of the 5-year schedule. And so, and one other thing, just when I was at the Nature Park the other day, I thought about all the aquatic insects that were studied previously, and now there's so little bodies of water that are there other than the wettest of wet season. And I used to go out there and do the hydrology testing with the long straw and blow until I hear the bubbles, and I'd measure every Sunday for years where the water table goes. And now there's just so few areas other than these like more polluted ditches on the side of the highway and Nature Park that really have water that can actually sustain aquatic insects. So I'm again disheartened by what I see when I go there. And then a positive light of this is the use of iNaturalist, and some of those citizen science apps are fantastic. Like when I go to beaches with my kids and we find like a crazy bright colored insect, I take a picture. Now the whole world knows that that thing was seen there at that time, and it's so helpful. And it's encouraging that we promote that around Earth Day here in Richmond as part of the Nature Challenge, because it really gets documentation that experts would have to go throughout the year to see some of these things at certain life stages, whereas doing a one-day spot check doesn't give you anything. So anyhow, I think this is great. Findings next step. Let's get going. Let's get this in the budget, and let's get cracking. We've got lots of work to do. Right, all those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. That's for the part 2 as well. Yeah, staff recommendation, as I clarified, including this part 2. All right, manager's report. Oh, we got Mr. Chan. Oh, first. Who's up first? Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Chair. And thank you, committee. I'm pleased to provide a brief update on the completion of the new pickleball courts at South Arm Community Park. This project was approved by Council as part of the 2025 capital budget. The original scope proposed 4 new pickleball courts. Following Council direction and feedback from sport user groups, staff reviewed the opportunity to maximize the number of courts that could be delivered within the approved site and budget. So construction began earlier this year in May, which include demolition of the existing ball hockey box, construction of new asphalt base, installation of new fencing and pickleball equipment storage, as well as acrylic sport surfacing. I'm pleased to report that the project was completed last week and opened to public on July 15, last Wednesday. The final project delivers 6 new pickleball courts at South Arm Park, in addition to the 3 existing courts, altogether providing additional recreational capacity for the community on this new trendy sport. Thank you.
Question on that. I didn't catch the full news story this morning, but there was something about, I think it was in Tsawwassen, the Nest or something just opened, and it's like a massive pickleball facility. Was that funded by their municipality?
I'm not sure if that happens in Tsawwassen. I've also seen on news that there are multiple or various indoor facility open in our region. To my understanding, many of them are privately owned. So, yeah, and it's, like I said, it's a trendy sport, so, the private sector also is interested.
Ms. Ayers wants to add or
To
clarify?
the chair, I heard the same article. I understand it's a private facility. And had, I believe, 29 indoor courts. We could certainly find out and send a note out, but I believe it is private.
Okay. Thanks. That's all from you?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. And Ms. Fenwick, I think is coming up.
I'm pleased to provide our final update on the Richmond Celebrate Soccer program, which wrapped up on Sunday.
Oh, I had the other one, I'm sorry.
Just wanted to provide our final Richmond Celebrate Soccer update. Our signature event was held Sunday in Aberdeen Park. It was a beautiful day and a very well-attended event. I've been able to connect with the funding partners, Richmond Tourism Richmond and the Richmond Hotel Association, as well as the province, and they've all been very pleased with the program. So we will be providing council a thorough debrief on the program as part of our 2025 or 2026 events year in review.
Great. Yeah, I'll just comment. I thought they were fantastic. I attended over half of them. And I think one of the biggest draws of the game was to find shade because we had such sunny weather for these games, and many of them were open. And areas where we have good tree cover and shade, that's where people parked, and they moved along with these long games to stay in there. So it was great, and it was nice variety. I really valued the fact that we had them. So the community associations could kind of take ownership over the small scale kind of events and to welcome outsiders to their community and had some common activities for kids, but there was always a little bit different activities going on and made for kind of a fun circular tour of the city. So Councillor Hobbs, you want to add something?
Yeah, thanks through the chair. I'll echo your comments. I saw you had a few of those, and yeah, it was I think really well organized. Compliments to the different societies, the volunteers, and to our own staff. It was really well done. Lots of activities for kids, like the mini soccer and everything. It was well done. And the last two things, the police presence, I thought was great, actually. And also the screens they had up. In the middle of the sunshine, the screens were fantastic in terms of being able to see them in the bright sun. So I think it worked out really well.
Thank you. Great. I'm gonna just ask, in case there is some good news out there, did we win the participation? Can we announce that? I don't know. That was supposed to be announced today.
We did not win this year. Quebec City is Canada's most active community.
Congratulations, Quebec City.
And I believe, I can't remember who BC's most active community is, Cranbrook, I think, or something like that. So this was not our year to win, but we will be back at it in 2027. And we still did very, very well. We were in the top 40. Sorry?
Yeah, we're in the top 40. We're celebrating soccer in the Kawamuru a little bit this year, so.
Yes.
All right, fantastic. Okay, thank you. We'll take a call for adjournment. And we're adjourned. Thank you very much. Oh,